Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. The worst thing about mosquitoes, it's not the itch of their bite, it's the disease they might be carrying. Zika, West Nile, dengue fever, yellow fever. Kill these things by calling Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Ask them about their mosquito treatments. They have all kinds of different options and a powerful, powerful new long-lasting formula that they use. Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Good people, the people I use at my home. All right, toyed with this last week, and the consensus last week that Bone and Williams would be back. Still might be, but let's just play it a little differently this week. We've taken Bone out of the picture. Let's go to the YP board where Chuck Cavallera stands. All right, if Bone isn't here, that's the way. Are we looking week one? This is your game one lineup for the Vols? Josiah James comes in and starts as your two?
I think so.
Right off the bat?
The only thing I would put pause to that is how good is he defensively? Because you see all these top recruits and they talk about their offense. Barnes is a defensive-first guy foundationally. Would he then put Pons in there just so you set the tone for your program defensively, or do you have a grad transfer come in that can set your tone and let Josiah grow?
It's difficult for me to say a guy I've never seen play is starting. I mean, he may, but
Kentucky cured me of that. Excuse me.
Here's the thing, though. Kentucky has 4 other 5-stars around each of their 5-stars, which makes a difference. We've seen 5-stars come to Tennessee, and for 3 years we went, doesn't really look like a Kentucky 5-star. I mean, would you agree with that, or do you disagree? That's the way I've looked at some of these guys who came in. It's like, he's really good, but he's not the world beater we expected.
Well, Harris was, but
Tobias
Scotty
Harris
Hobson was not. So there's a little bit of both,
Yeah.
I think, out of that.
Harris, to me, would be the exception to the UT rule in terms of 5-stars that I've seen. But, all right, so build me the rest of this lineup. Who's next? Is Fulkerson going to start all year? Or is DJ Burns, who redshirted this year, 4-star when he came to Tennessee? Last week when we did this, we had Burns behind Fulkerson taking over mid-season.
Yeah, I think that would happen. And the big unknown of this is when you lose guys, now all of a sudden there's scholarship opportunities that come available. So, I think you're going to have to find a JUCO guy, a grad transfer, a late bloomer, that either at the big position or me personally, I don't see Lamonte Turner being a point guard as a championship level point guard. I think he's better off the ball, catch and shoot, making plays, and if he's your point guard, that concerns me.
Do you agree, though, that he would be the 1 and James would be the 2 to start next year?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And 3 guys can play the point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's put a grad transfer. If you had to pick grad transfer, and that could be JUCO, whatever. That's just another person we're bringing in. Would you put them at that 1-2 slot, or would you put definitely a 1? You're looking for another point guard.
Yeah,
Bone's
I think
gone.
Absolutely. If Bone's gone, you need a point guard. We needed a point guard this year.
And see, that's where I wonder if it's not a 3-person rotation there with James Turner and the grad transfer who can all play as combo guards throughout. I don't see Yves Pons getting mentioned much, so let's do this. Let's take Grant Williams off the board. Yikes. All of a sudden, this becomes a whole different situation next year without Grant Williams. If he and Bone, they're gone. So what's your lineup look like next year if you take Williams out? Who are you moving around?
Another grad transfer.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to go Burns and Fulkerson.
A lot of grunts and grimacing.
All those people that bought a bunch of season tickets this year are swallowing their money right now. But there's so much uncertainty. You're going to have to get
Burns and Fulkerson would probably flip, but yes, that's your lineup.
And I haven't seen Burns. I have seen Walker, but I haven't seen enough of Walker to make me think he's good enough to start.
And the same with Pons.
I just didn't see Walker or Jalen Johnson this year make the convincing progress that makes me plug them in there, and Pons either, really.
Yeah. And by the way, for those looking at this list, along the bottom are the guys on the team from this past year and their position, of course, to the far right in the orange. That's them, how they played by minutes. Up at the top on the right side, you've got the signees. Josiah James, we've already brought over. Zach Kent, a red shirt as well, after an injury. Nobody's sure if he's going to be around or not. And then we've already put a grad transfer over there. Are there any other changes if Williams goes? Are you saying bring in another guy would be brought in, a grad transfer, a JUCO in the 4-5 slots?
I'd sure look for one.
I would.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a whole different ballgame. If you lose both those guys, I mean, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
If you lose both those guys, I mean, that's a big loss. Yeah, that's a. That's a whole different ball game. If you lose both those guys, I mean, that's a big loss. Yeah. If you lose both those guys, I don't know what you're looking at in terms of records next year if you lose both of them. Then you are counting on Josiah James being an all-world, holy smokes, he really is the greatest, could leave in a year type guy.
And then you got your numbers game of making sure that you can bring back those guys if they declare and they don't get drafted.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Aren't you sorry you got out of it? When you look at that? All right, tell you what, when we come back, we're going to take a look. One last thing. Rick Barnes has also lost a key assistant. Can still lose another. We're going to talk about replacing Rob Lanier. And we're also going to take a look at the SEC's new coaching roster with the guys who've been brought in, a new one hired today. Woo, it looks tough. Come on back.